Greetings, warriors. My name is Walt. I'm the master wizard of Infinite, guiding warriors on their transformation adventure through our fitness fantasy role-playing game experience. I'm here with Alex Bowman, warrior of the Dungeon Realm, who just went through a 50-pound transformation in the world of Infinite, and I'm so excited to share his story and also give all of you listeners his perspective on the journey before he came into Infinite and the journey while he was on his 50-pound transformation, cutting fat and completely pushing his mind and body to the limits. Alex, what's up, my man?
How's it going, everyone? Happy to be here.
Oh yeah. Let's jump straight in, man. Let's get deep into the nitty-gritty. Let's just cut straight to the chase here.
Perfect.
Describe to me before you started your fat loss journey, where were you at? What was the most challenging and discouraging moment at this point in your fitness journey? Again, right before you started your fat loss journey, and how did that experience affect you emotionally and physically?
Good question. Um, I'd say that I always kind of had the goal of I wanted to put on a little bit more muscle. Before I joined Infinite, that when I was putting on the weight, it was one, I was a little left to my own devices, which, it's really hard to always keep the reins pulled in and keep it within reason. So I had a little bit of fun with my eating and the frequency and the amount in which I was, thinking that it was all under the guise of, putting on mass,
Hmm.
which it was. I was still lifting really heavy and really enjoying my lifts and having a lot of fun with it. And that extra weight made it even more fun because my primary focus was moving the weight and recovery and this and that.
And things were
But it
going
got to
up.
yeah, but it got to a point where it was, I realized that I took it a little too far and was in this totally different mindset from having that maintenance aspect to it also, or at least that ceiling. Um, so it was just kind of a low point when I realized that I got really far from where I would have liked to have been.
Mm-hmm.
And then it's that moment where you go, okay, we need to switch gears. Um, but I'd been doing that for, 9, 10, 11 months, where that's plenty long to build a habit and a mindset around that specific road.
Hmm.
So I'd say that was one of the points where, you reach that point where you have to change, which is always that turning point, which is always the hardest, where you realize I was honest enough with myself to say, okay, this has gone too far. I've enjoyed it. I had my fun, but something has to change.
Hmm.
And that's pretty much when I hit you up. I said, hey, I'd like a little guidance, a little accountability, and some help in taking this weight off and seeing what we built.
Incredible. And you beat me to my next question, which was what led you to try Infinite despite feeling that way once you hit that weight level and you just really had that reflection moment, what led you to reaching out to me, looking towards Infinite and really choosing Infinite as the path forward to get you out of this state of mind.
Yeah, well, I think it was, again, comes back to accountability. Having that, um, even if it's a little more in the background, having somebody or a system or a process or anything like that in the background, kind of keeping you steered in the right direction. And it was really cool with Infinite that I could always look at the app, I could always look at the website, and you're always getting notifications about different people accomplishing this or doing this or checking these boxes. And even if it was basic stuff, hey, somebody went on a 15-minute walk, and if I was sitting there and not doing my cardio, which I wasn't, That's the easiest way to get to that weight.
Yeah.
Is I'd go, okay, and it'd kind of kickstart that gear. So having that community, even though we aren't directly involved or communicating, knowing that there are other people going through the system and the processes that I knew I should have been doing
Mm.
was pretty powerful. And it lights a little bit of a fire under your ass. Regardless of where anybody is on their journey, you go, okay, you see people checking boxes and doing what they're supposed to and benefiting from it, thinking that, okay, that's what I need to be doing. That's where I need to be.
Mm.
Um, and I knew, obviously, you and I were good friends. I knew that we kind of complete each other in a sense where I'm a very feely emotional way of doing things, and you have
You have a high
very good.
level of emotional intelligence.
I appreciate that. Thank you for saying it that way. Um, and you're very logical, process oriented, um, self driven in that regard. So I knew that that's what I needed. I needed to fill that gap because me doing everything by feel wasn't working.
Mm.
So to know that there was those processes and you're a really numbers guy, I'm not so much. So to have that more of a guideline in the background was really helpful, and I knew that you'd be able to fit that part.
Love it, man. It makes me feel good to hear that I complete you.
You're right. Yeah. I think we have a good dynamic in that regard.
Yes, yeah, and I think that's really important in a wizard and warrior relationship, right? And going on that journey with you, right? Again, um, Alex was part of the dungeon, but also he also worked with me inside the Sanctum along with Warrior and Wizard Jasper as well. It was a combined effort with the Infinite team to really give Alex everything that he needs, which actually brings me to my next question. What was that first sign that Infinite was actually making a real difference for you? And can you recall a specific moment or achievement during that process for you, whether that's in the beginning, the middle, or the end, where you started to realize, like, wow, okay, everything we're doing is working, the system's working, everything that I needed and I'm getting, and it's just all working. What was that moment where it all clicked?
I think like many, it's usually those first couple check-ins.
Mm.
Usually not the first week because it takes a little bit of time for the ball to get rolling. But I'd say probably 2, 3 weeks in, starting to see some shape coming back. It was always really helpful in those first few weeks to track everything and know that you and Jasper uh, had eyes on that. So it was really good because I mean I think one of the first main things that we fixed was you guys were asking where I was getting my main source of protein from, and I was drinking a lot of shakes,
Hmm. Hmm.
and that was being logged and all that. I was being a good student, and you said, okay, hey, let's change that. Let's get more whole foods in, get more protein from animal proteins and this and that, and that was one that kind of set it off where I go, okay, we're entering a different realm now.
Quite
So I need
literally.
to, quite literally, and I needed to shift not only my physical being but mental being in that regard too. So that was one of those where it all needed to come together in order for this to really happen,
Hmm.
which was really good because it it wasn't so separate. The mental and the
Hmm.
physical realm came together, and I go, okay, starting to see some progress, but let's make more, and it's just that next step, and that was really helpful.
So it's generating that momentum for you was that kind of big inflection point of like, okay, things are working after a few weeks, and I want to get more. And generating that momentum for you was like that big aha moment of like, okay, let's keep this ball rolling. Is that right?
Absolutely, yeah. Because I mean, I'm a personal trainer too. For those who don't know, and that's usually what I tell people is the first couple weeks are the hardest because that's when everything's the most unfamiliar. Workouts might hurt more than they feel good. You hear everybody say, "Oh, working out feels so good." It's like it feels really good when you know what you're doing. So I have to tell people that all the time that if you can make it through those first 2, 3, 4 weeks, then it does become fun. You start to see the results, you see the efforts pay off, and that's I mean, even as a trainer, I need that sometimes. That I'm still human, so it's nice to get that kind of recognize that throughout the process
Hmm.
and know that I don't want to redo the hardest part over and over again. So if you get those 2, 3 weeks out from underneath you, you put them in the past and you have that momentum,
Hmm.
it's much easier to keep that momentum than it is to stop and start over and over.
I 100% agree, and that's so important for especially fat loss, right?
Mhm.
You went through about 6 months, I believe, 6 month journey,
Mhm.
from I believe it was from February to like August or March
I
to
think it was
September.
the initial one like
Yeah.
that I kind of did on my own
Or no, so in Infinite. So it was
within
about
Infinite. Okay. Yeah, I mean, we did a well, for those that don't know, last year in November I was 248 and then I think that's when I hit you up and through January we got down to about we were at about 235 and then we really jumped into it and the initial fat loss phase was I think into April
Mhm.
if I remember right
Yeah, around
because
there.
we were doing a show in June and then that's when all like the more refinement stuff came in.
So overall, I guess you could say we started what in February and ended in August, end of August, I guess you could say.
Yeah, yeah,
And
through the
you
bulk of
had
it.
about a 50-pound transformation.
Yeah, yeah. From February till August, yeah, it was probably 40,
Hey,
35, 40.
let's dive a little bit deeper into the transformation itself. So, how has your life changed since using Infinite? And feel free to get specific with the details and specific improvements, whether that's with your fitness, your health, your overall well-being, mindset, you name it. Let's get into the results.
Yeah. So, kind of left to my own devices, I'm definitely more of a lifter. I enjoy the lifting aspect of things, and Infinite was very good at getting me to do some cardio, to throw in that mix of things. Because my cardio before would be, I'd walk 10 minutes on the treadmill to kind of get the blood pumping, might do 10 or 15 as I, scroll social media or whatever, but it was never very dedicated
Mhm.
or intense. And it was cool with Infinite, especially the tracking methodology. You have the app and you log it every day, and it'll tell you what your streak is, and that was really beneficial to me because you kind of get that little reward where, okay, cool, you did 40, 45 minutes on the treadmill. Cool, you did 30 minutes on the stairs, and made it a little bit more fun than because I clearly I wouldn't have done that on my own and didn't. Um, so to get me to a point where I actually started to enjoy the stairs, where I knew that, 10, 15, 20 minutes on it wasn't going to break me. And I knew that by the end of it, I'd feel totally fine and actually even better. A little tired, of course, but accomplished. So having um, that addition to it and having that become part of the routine was extremely helpful. And knowing that I had to do it again kind of comes back to the accountability aspect of it. Because
Mm.
I go, okay, if I don't log this cardio, coaches can see, the Wizards will see that, and not that it's one of those, do this or else type thing. I mean, the only person that would have suffered is me if I didn't do my cardio. So I think that's a really important distinction for a lot of people, especially if you haven't been there before. You need to understand that nobody really suffers but you. Like
Mm.
it's not like Walt's going to put on weight if I don't do my cardio.
I never know,
No.
man. That's good.
I mean, I really hope not. I really hope we're not that connected.
No.
But um, that was one of the main things. And now it's a lot more prevalent in my mind that I kind of just associate working out and then doing cardio after.
Mm,
It's one of those things where it's built in at this point to where if I don't, after every workout that I had, if I didn't do some cardio afterwards, it would, you get kind of a weird feeling. Okay, I didn't do everything I needed to, or it doesn't quite feel right, you know?
yeah.
Uh,
What I'm
yeah,
hearing is a lot of the app has really fueled a lot of overcoming those challenges that you had previously before you got started. Was there anything else that really helped you um, overcome these challenges, beat these challenges, and of course, really gain that consistency and that momentum that you were talking about earlier? Like any features, anything inside the apps, anything when it comes to our wizard coaching and mentorship?
yeah, yeah. I mean, I think as I mentioned before a little bit, it comes back to the community where, I see you and Jasper and everybody posting within the app, the page, and everything like that, and just seeing everybody else doing the things that I didn't want to do. So knowing that other people are out there, like, hey, I guarantee most, there's some cardio bunnies out there, but most people don't like throwing in some cardio after a workout.
Hmm.
Yet they squeeze it in throughout their busy day. You have moms with multiple kids, you have dads with multiple kids and jobs and this and that, and they're still getting their cardio in. I don't have any kids and I can't do my cardio. So it's really cool. The diversity of warriors that you have within there really helps kind of shed some light on where you can pick up things or where things may not be serving you, or because you go, I mean, if this guy has a kid but he's still hitting a workout and going on his walks and tracking all of his food, then then I should be able to, logically speaking. So it having that diverse community of people was motivating and really beneficial. Um, Again, within the app, it's really nice and it's very streamlined too. Again, it's one of those where the first week or two, it's kind of difficult to start navigating, but once you understand where everything is, what all the buttons do, it's very streamlined, very simple. All your foods from the previous days are already logged there. You just put in your weights, log it, gives you your little calorie meter, shows you where you are with all your macros and everything. It's very simple when you after you dive into it a little bit.
Well said. Well said. And last few questions for you, Warrior Alex, to wrap this up. Looking back, where do you think you'd be now if you hadn't started playing Infinite? Go back, going back to that 240 pound you,
Yeah,
48 pound you. Where would you be? What would you do?
I would probably still be justifying where I was and not having made such a drastic change in not only weight, but how I look at what I was doing in terms of my mentality. You know, Probably would have still been doing the same things that I wanted to do, not what I should have been doing or needed to do. I think that's a lot of it because I feel like a lot of people can agree with this sentiment, but I like everybody likes their comfort zone, right? I enjoyed going into the gym, eating whatever I wanted to before to fuel myself to justify eating that much, and then moving a bunch of weight. I like I said, I really love moving heavy weight. I like heavy dumbbell presses. I like squatting heavy. I like being able to leg press a lot. And that was enough to fuel, that was enough to justify what I was doing. And I don't think if I had that outside perspective or kind of commentary on, okay, yes, but there's also this aspect of it to kind of pull me out of that comfort zone to make the necessary changes that I really needed, and which were astonishing because like I said, I enjoyed doing some cardio. I felt good after doing it. You slowly, incrementally step up, and I don't think I would have had that because I wouldn't have given it enough time and effort to reach that point, to break through that wall to where I could see the benefits of the other side. You know, you kind of get trapped in your own little bubble of what you like to do, what you know you can do, which doesn't always serve you.
Right. It's sometimes, our biggest obstacle is sometimes ourselves, right?
Yeah,
And I
I
think
learned that about myself too.
that's
You know?
huge.
Yeah,
That's huge. And I'm happy to be able to be a part of your journey to help you navigate through that. And I think that's actually a really good transition into last couple of questions here is, what would you say to someone who is feeling the same frustrations that you once had and is hesitant to try another solution like Infinite?
I think a lot of it comes down to, pardon the swearing, but you know, once you get sick of your own shit, it's time to do something about it. So you can't just sit there and keep stay in that realm. You can't stay in uh that mentality. So I think a lot of it even comes down to if you're even considering making a change, then you're already starting that process. So if that does speak to anybody, I would say it's time to act on it. And it isn't it's a step-by-step process. So it isn't like you're going to get thrown all of this at once. It might feel a little daunting in the beginning and a little might cause some feelings of overwhelm, but if you just stick with it and trust the process and trust yourself to go through that process, then it will pay dividends in life, in how you feel, how you think, how you act in the future. It it really does play a larger role, and it isn't as limiting as you might believe. I mean, counting calories, you know, it seems like a lot. It seems like you won't be able to do anything fun again or have anything fun again. But once you start to dive into that process of where calories come from and you get a little bit more educated on the topic, you realize one, you might not even want to eat what you used to because you know you it can be a little shock to what some of these yummy foods hold calorically, but it also gives you that confidence to move forward and keep progressing and keep taking that next step because you do see the results. You do see how it changes you for the better, and the changes is often scary, but we don't know what we don't know, and I think we know a lot less than is out there. So it's really beneficial from a human aspect to kind of keep pushing the boundaries a little bit, but well within your means. And I think that's what Infinite's really good at doing is it makes those steps incremental. It's not immediately throwing you to the wolves, and you can get your bearings and take that next step, and that's all you have to focus on is what's right in front of you. You know, what do I need to do right now instead of this huge task of, oh, I need to lose 50 pounds. You know, let's start with losing one. Let's start with five, and then that turns into 10, that turns into 15, and next thing you know, you're this completely different person. And they're very subtle changes, but absolutely massive in the bigger picture. Day to day, it's subtle, but month to month, year to year, it's staggering.
And it shows. I mean, if you haven't looked at his transformation, highly recommend it. Should be somewhere around this video, wherever you're watching it. It's incredible his transformation, both not only physically but also mentally, pushing his limits and taking his mind and his body to levels that he's never achieved before. At the age of 30,
Just turned 34.
34, incredible. Age is just a number. And let's finish up with one more thing. In a few words, what do you feel like is one compelling reason to choose Infinite, drawing from your experience that you just went through and other experiences as well.
I mean, I think even people who are tend to stick to their themselves a little bit more, it is that community. It's having the awareness of other people doing what you're doing. And that's not to take away from what you're doing, but it's to add to it. Because I always, arrogantly thought that, I mean, I've been in the industry for 10, 12, 13 years. So you kind of get to a point where you think you know some stuff. And even if you haven't been in the industry, if you think you know everything that there is that comes to this or every aspect of it, I can almost guarantee that that is incorrect. um, so just I think having a group of people that you may not even communicate with, but to know that they're doing the same thing, they're going through the same processes, the same steps, making massive changes in their lives, both physically, mentally, socially, financially, whatever it might be. This all ties into it. And I think physical health is kind of the base of success in other realms also. If your body isn't taken care of, then a lot of things falter with that. So for Infinite to have that group of warriors that secondhand motivates you, um, and you do a really good job of spotlighting the people that are doing what's necessary and making the changes and highlighting the changes that they do make very specifically, because everybody's journey will be different, but we're all on the same path.
That makes sense.
You know,
And that's huge. And that's powerful. Thank you, Alex, for sharing your story, sharing your experience, and really providing so much insight on how things were prior to playing Infinite, your journey throughout Infinite, and how the person that you've become, the hero or the warrior that you've become by the end of your experience. If you'd like to achieve results like Warrior Alex here, feel free to join us in the Sanctum realm where you could get a wizard like myself to guide you on your adventure, whether that's from being a complete beginner who's just trying to get into health and fitness and trying to go down that path of a healthier lifestyle, or even someone like Alex, who is a trainer, who is someone who is highly experienced that still is looking for insight, growth, and knowledge. Feel free to join us there. And as always, my name is Master Wizard Walt. I'm the founder, lead designer, and Master Wizard of Infinite here by your side as your guide on your infinite fitness adventure. I'll see you at fitnessfantasyrpg.com, and hopefully I could be your wizard and guide you on your adventure. See ya.